Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day 6 of the International Aerospace Expo. We are here to look at the Origin lineup of ships, and smack dab in front of us is the height and epitome of opulence, the 890 Jump. There's a lot to talk about in this room here. Next to it, the 600i, and on that side I think we have the 100 series ships, which are beginner ships. But I guess let's start on the left and work our way across. First of all, let's take a look at the map to see what we have in here. And the map is not rendering properly for me, because why should it? Let's just start. Let's wing it. Alright, the 600i. Now this is actually my game package ship. The ship which comes with the actual game itself in my account. Originally this was a Constellation. I upgraded it to the 600i. I want to say I'm happy, but I'm not. Now if you own one of these, you know why. After the 400i came out, it made us question everything. Thank you to the designers of the 400i for making everything else look like hot garbage. Well, on the inside anyway. But the problem with, first of all, let me say, I love the external design. The outside of the 600i is what sold me. It is sleek, it is smooth. The second I saw this, I bought it, I wanted it. Now, the problem is the internals of the ship. Initially, they were great, but as starcitizen, as CIG has grown and improved as a company as far as design goes, the internal designs of the ship has improved dramatically, and the 600i is a victim of the old guard, where they just had some space and they tossed in some things and said, there you go, there's the internals, everyone's happy, until we saw what is really possible with the 400i. Now, one of the obvious problems, the crew quarters is just this empty space with beds. There's lots of space in the cockpit unused. The area behind the cockpit has these weird 2 chairs in the middle of nowhere. There's just a lot of open, empty space, which I know initially was meant to show you just how roomy and give you a sense of awe in the ship, but it really just come down to what is this empty space about. And I know they're saying there's probably reworks to be done, things to be changed. I don't know how much they'll be changing in these ships. I mean, we've already bought it. Will people be rebuying it if they make changes? Maybe. I'm hopeful that they do make some nice changes to the internals. I do love the ship, and I am keeping it. And moving on to its big brother right next to it on that, look at the size of the thing. Again, you get a sense of scale in this hall when these ships come in. The 890 Jump, the epitome of opulence, absolutely spectacular in every sense, until we saw the internals of the Banu Merchantman, which seemed to be better than this. Now, each ship has its purpose. Obviously, the 890 Jump is going to be more about touring, I guess transporting VIPs maybe. And I hate to say it, but it's a hangar queen. In my hangar anyway. It's sitting there gathering dust. The amount of times I've taken this out over this past year, probably 0. Maybe because there's no game loops in. But there will be game loops eventually, where there'll be some Xion princess who needs a ride from one area to another area. There may be some assassins after her, so you need to have escorts, so you need a tanky ship. The 890 Jump is a ship which will be doing that, so there is a purpose for the ship in the game besides looking pretty in your hangar, and I look forward to seeing that when it comes out. Not much more to say about the 890, you don't know. Spectacular, and this was actually on sale today. It sold out in 40 seconds, so very much in demand. And if you do own one from the old days where it sold around, what, 600 bucks I think originally? Remember those days? Congratulations, because the price is up, I think around 890. I actually haven't checked today's price, but a very much in demand ship, and it is beautiful. Moving on to the 100 series, I must apologize for my horrible frame rates. My computer is CPU locked, it's reached end of life. And I think, like many of you, I am simply holding on, waiting for GPU prices to drop before I upgrade. But let's talk a bit about the 100 series over here. Before us, we have the Origin 125A, which is listed as a focus starter or a light fighter. Now, none of the starter ships are really good fighters, or good haulers, or good touring, or anything. They're starter ships. But if you are playing the game from scratch, if you're starting at the very bottom and you want to start a ship that just gets you around in style, this is what you want to go for. Personally, I stick with the Aurora, but you have options, and if you want to appear fancy and fly one of these, then go for it. But again, most people move out of starter ships very rapidly in this game. At most, you'll be spending a week dare I say, 8-9 days at most before you earn enough money in game to upgrade to a next tier higher. So enjoy the time, appreciate the design and the time and effort CIG made to make a nice compelling starter ship. And that's basically all to say about the 100 series. Let's go downstairs and take a look at the holograms. Coming around the corner, we have first the M50. So this was the best racer in the game. It was one of the first racers in the game. The ship is going to have some sort of engine replacement system where you can drop new engines in. Maybe some engines are faster in a straight line, others are faster on turning or faster acceleration. There's going to be options. So when racing comes in the game, this is definitely going to be one of the ships to watch at the moment because there's not much racing. It's also kind of a hangar queen, just sits there around gathering dust, but it will have its purpose. Coming around the corner, we have the 85X, which is a beautiful little, I don't want to say it's a snub fighter. Why is it classified as touring, I think? Basically, this is what the ship does. If you have an 890 jump and you are in orbit, you don't want to take your 890 jump down the ground. It's going to take a lot of fuel and a lot of time. What you want to do is jump in your little snub craft like this and make the trip in this. Now, I think it's also supposed to be racing. Will there be a time where you're racing these? Maybe. Again, we don't have racing in the game. We don't actually know, but it is a beautiful ship. The interior is very pretty, very BMW-like. And the usefulness for the ship right now is essentially, instead of taking your big 890 jump down to the planet, take your little ship like this and it'll make the trip faster and save you a ton of fuel. Coming around the corner to the hologram room, we have the buggies, either the G12s, and looking at the buggy over here, we see the missiles. This is the military version, the G12A. Let me just go to this panel and confirm that for you. Origin G12A, yes, focus is combat. Now there's much better combat buggies or combat vehicles than this, but this one will fit in something like the 600i. Speaking of, isn't my 600i Touring supposed to come with the buggy? I'm waiting for this to come out. Sleek, nice looking. I don't have the military version. I think I have the standard version. And not much more to say about it or know how useful this will actually be in the game until we get our hands on it. But it is pretty and I do like the design. And coming around the corner to the showroom, there it is. I'll tell you why I love the showroom. There's a lot of contrast here, not the colors. The contrast is the most used and loved Origin ship in the game versus the least used Origin ships in the game, all in one room. Let me explain. At first, when these Origin ships came out, they were the BMWs of the game. Everyone wanted them. They were quality. They were style. I believe this is the 350R, the racing version of it. I haven't flown it in a very, very long time, but in its day, or probably still is, the fastest ship in a straight line. Now, again, we don't have racing in the game, but when racing does come out, if there's a racing course which is straight, this is the ship which will dominate in it. Let me just confirm this is indeed the 350R. And yes, it is. Not much more to say about that. I mean, it's pretty and it's fast in a straight line, but that's about it. And moving over to what I assume is a 325 Interdictor. Let's confirm. Indeed it is. Just because it's a rough galaxy doesn't mean you need to sacrifice your comfort. The 325A can come out on top in any dogfight. That is incorrect. In fact, if you are in any kind of situation where you need an interdictor ship or a dogfighter, nobody takes those ships out. I have not seen anyone pull out a 325 in the longest time. I'm not saying it's a bad ship. It's okay. It's not bad. But when it comes to dogfights, you don't see this in dogfights ever. Much the same on this side. Let's take a look what we have. I had to walk right up to the panel to see the 315P, which is a Pathfinder, because you just don't see them. Pathfinding is kind of where you're exploring around, looking for jump points. Again, there's much more focused and better ships at the job, but these ships represent the early days of CIG's ship design, and for their purpose at the time, they were great. I just think CIG, as a company who designs ships and ship interiors, has grown past the purpose of these, and other better ships have come along. But still, if you like what these look like, or these are in your budget in the game, then definitely it's worth a look. And I think this last one is probably the Touring. It's the white pretty one with the white glossy paint. Yeah, the original 300i Touring. Again, if you're touring, when do you take out this ship? I don't know. And speaking of touring, the great touring ship is right over here. I think the this one is recently being reclassified in its description as touring. And the 400i, as I've mentioned before in my other videos, is a great example of CIG learning about ship design as they go. Hands down, without a doubt, the internals of the 400i, the internal design, is the best in the game. There is no other ship that comes close to the planning, the well-planned design of the interior in this ship. I love the fact you walk up the stairs, you have your cargo, you have some cargo space up here for your spacesuits and a weapon rack. You open a little door, you have a little elevator, bam, you're up here in the cockpit and the captain's quarters, everything you need within 2 seconds. Not like the Mercury Starrunner, which I spoke about yesterday, where it's a 5-minute trip from the back of the ship through 20 corridors and 58 doors to get the cockpit. In the 400i, 2 seconds, you're up there exactly where you need to be. I love it. And I know I was critical about the externals of the ship. I do feel it looks like they got kind of slapped on the top of some other ship. If they only made it a bit sleeker, if there's some sort of bubble canopy, there's sleek on the top, it would be near perfect. I've really it's grown on me. The looks of the ship have grown on me. I was kind of skeptical at first, but the more I've used it, the more I've loved it. And really, it's all about the well-placed internals of that. So I think the 400i is one of the most popular and most used Origin ships in the game. The 300 series at one time, I would say, were, but I rarely see them. Not saying don't get it, they are great ships. Buy them in the game if you like the looks of it. Again, it's all about the aesthetics. If you enjoy that, go for it. Nothing wrong with it. I just feel there's better ships in the game that do what every single one of these 300 series ships do. But 400i, best in class for what it does. Definitely great. And with that, ladies and gents, I think we've reached the end of this IAE Day 6. Remember to join me tomorrow for more about this. And if you enjoy my content, you know what to do. Thumbs up, subscribe, comments below, always appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next one.